Somewhere in the American Southwest, a bomber so revolutionary is taking flight that foreign militaries quite literally cannot see it coming. A stealth aircraft so advanced that the Pentagon believes just a few dozen of them could rewrite the rules of modern warfare. And in a twist that feels almost poetic, it might also be the last manned bomber the United States ever built. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the B-21 Raider, America's first sixth-generation aircraft, a strategic ghost designed for a world entering its most complex security era in decades. Before we go deeper, a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. It really helps us keep creating videos like this. The story of the B-21 begins with a simple but startling idea. What if you could create a bomber that wasn't just invisible to radar, but invisible to the future itself? A machine built not for today's threats, but for the threats no one has even imagined yet. That's why the Raider is more than a weapons platform. It's a flying network node, an intelligence collector, a battlefield coordinator, and potentially an autonomous strike system, all wrapped inside a shape that bends electromagnetic waves as naturally as water flowing around stone. When Northrop Grumman rolled the aircraft out to the public in 2022, analysts immediately recognized familiar contours from the B-2 Spirit, the iconic flying wing that debuted back in 1988. But beneath the surface, the B-21 is an entirely different species of aircraft. Its open architecture software allows upgrades the same way you update a smartphone, enabling new sensors, new weapons, and new mission profiles without requiring massive redesigns. In a world dominated by rapid technological leaps, this kind of modularity isn't a luxury, it's survival. The name itself carries weight. The 21 honors the Doolittle Raiders, the aviators who launched a daring mission in 1942 to bomb Tokyo from aircraft carriers. It was strategically limited, but symbolically enormous. No target was beyond reach no matter how fortified or distant. Naming America's most advanced bomber after that mission sends a message. Even in the 21st century, U.S. airpower intends to reach wherever it must. But names alone don't win wars. Capabilities do. And the B-21's capabilities marked the largest leap in bomber design since the Cold War. Its radar signature is so small that some engineers suggest it may appear to enemy sensors as something no larger than a bird. It's engineered to evade infrared tracking, electronic emissions, acoustic detection, and even emerging passive radar systems designed to exploit reflections from civilian signals. If the B-2 was built to defeat radar, the B-21 is built to defeat the entire concept of detection. So how did we get here? To understand the significance of the B-21, you have to go back to the early days of the Cold War. America's nuclear triad, missiles, submarines, and bombers, was created to guarantee that if two legs were destroyed in a first strike, the third would survive to retaliate. Bombers were the flexible leg of that triad, able to be launched, recalled, rerouted, and repurposed. But the aircraft themselves were relics of another era. Consider this. The B-52 Stratos Fortress first flew in 1952. The same airframe that patrolled during the Cuban Missile Crisis is still flying missions today. Some pilots are literally the grandsons of earlier crews. But as durable as the B-52 is, it's about as stealthy as a flying city. Against modern integrated air defenses, it simply cannot go where the United States may one day need to strike. The B-1 Lancer, introduced decades later, added speed and low-altitude penetration, but still couldn't hide from advanced detection technologies. Then came the B-2 Spirit, the first operational aircraft designed around stealth. It was revolutionary, but also ruinously expensive. At $2.2 billion each in today's dollars, only 21 were ever built. Fantastic technology, yes, but impossible to field in meaningful numbers. Meanwhile, adversaries watched. China and Russia spent the next 2 decades building anti-access area denial networks, massive bubbles of long-range missiles, radar grids, and electronic sensors designed to keep American forces far away. These A2AD zones stretch across the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, Kaliningrad, and Arctic approaches. Older American bombers simply cannot survive inside these networks. The Pentagon needed something new, a bomber stealthy enough to enter denied territory, affordable enough to build at scale, maintainable enough to fly often, and digital enough to adapt over decades. The answer was the B-21. Northrop Grumman approached the project with digital engineering techniques unheard of during the B-2 era. They built a complete virtual twin of the aircraft before constructing the physical version. testing aerodynamics, checking wiring paths, simulating maintenance needs, and optimizing manufacturing lines entirely in software. The result? The B-21 went from contract to first flight in just 7 years, dramatically faster and cleaner than previous programs. Cost was also a strategic consideration. At roughly $750 million per aircraft, the Raider isn't cheap, but compared to the B-2's astronomical price tag, it's a bargain. That affordability allows for what the Air Force truly needs: numbers. The official plan calls for at least 100 Raiders, but senior leaders quietly suggest the real target might be closer to 200. The B-21 is not only the world's first sixth-generation aircraft, but also the first sixth-generation bomber. Stealth alone doesn't make the B-21 groundbreaking. The real secret lies in what the aircraft can become. Thanks to its open architecture, the Raider isn't locked into one role. Its internal base can house conventional bombs, nuclear weapons, long-range cruise missiles, future hypersonic systems, or entirely new payloads that haven't been invented yet. It is the only aircraft capable of carrying the U.S. Navy's huge AIM-174B missile internally. This aside from carrying AIM-120 AAM-RAM and the upcoming AIM-260 Joint Attack Tactical Missile. Its sensors can be reconfigured via software, its avionics can evolve, and perhaps most importantly, the aircraft is designed for optional manning. That means a future B-21 sortie might happen without a crew on board. Imagine a bomber the size of a tennis court gliding through Danak airspace, gathering intelligence, penetrating networks, pinpointing targets, and delivering precision strikes, all without risking a single pilot. Hold that one good thought for a moment. This flexibility creates stunning geopolitical implications. Adversaries like China and Russia are already losing sleep. China has poured billions into building aircraft carriers, anti-ship missiles, and sprawling radar networks to keep American forces far away. But a B-21 operating from bases in Guam, Northern Australia, Alaska, or even the continental United States could strike targets deep inside contested regions with little warning. A small fleet of Raiders could, theoretically, threaten thousands of strategic sites across an entire theater. Even the aircraft's sustainment is revolutionary. Stealth coatings traditionally degrade quickly, making maintenance expensive and time-consuming. The B-21 uses new materials and simplified surfaces engineered to reduce wear, allowing more flight hours and faster turnaround times. The Air Force says maintaining the Raider will be more like servicing a standard fighter jet rather than a delicate stealth artifact. Inside, its sensors and communication systems turn it into a flying data center, collecting intelligence, sharing information with allies, coordinating unmanned aircraft, and fusing battlefield awareness across land, sea, air, and space. In a conflict, a single B-21 could function as both a strike platform and a command node, feeding the entire battle space with live intelligence. The B-21 can take a fighter role because it already has some of the most advanced intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR sensors, and an amazing suite of avionics of any combat aircraft. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating aspects of the program. The Raider is built to operate alongside autonomous wingmen. While it is not meant to completely absorb the air superiority mission, the B-21 will truly bolster the effectiveness of the air superiority program together with aircrafts like the Block 4 F-35 and its accompanying CCA AI-enabled Wingmen, the U.S. Air Force's revised NGAD program, and the U.S. Navy's stealth fighter program. In the near future, a B-21 may enter contested airspace accompanied by a formation of AI-enabled drones, scouts, decoys, and additional weapons platforms that extend its reach and multiply its firepower. This distributed network approach ensures that no bomber operates alone. Production is underway at Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. 6 test aircraft are already in various stages of construction. The Air Force expects initial operational capability in the mid-2020s, with full fleet integration early in the 2030s. And even then, the bomber it becomes in 2040 or 2050 may look very different from the one flying today. That's because the Raider isn't the end of a design philosophy, it's the beginning of one. When the last B-52 finally retires around the 2050s, it will have flown for a century. The B-21, benefiting from digital engineering, advanced materials, and modular architecture, could match that timeline. Imagine a bomber unveiled in 2022 still flying missions in 2122. That's the timescale the Air Force is thinking in. From a geopolitical perspective, the emergence of the B-21 sends a clear signal. The era of uncontested American air power may be over, but the era of adaptive air power is beginning.
Nations watching the Raider must plan for a world in which their most sensitive sites could be reached at any moment by an aircraft they cannot see, carrying weapons they cannot predict. That uncertainty alone is a powerful form of deterrence. Yet, beyond strategy and technology, there's something almost poetic about the B-21. Human flight began just over a century ago with fabric wings and wooden frames. Today, engineers are building aircraft that can fly across continents unseen, manage swarms of drones, reconfigure themselves digitally, and operate without onboard pilots. The Raider is a reminder of how quickly technology evolves and how military necessity often accelerates that evolution. Whether viewed as a stabilizing force or a concerning escalation, one good fact remains. The B-21 Raider represents the cutting edge of strategic air power, and it will shape the balance of power for decades. It's not just a bomber, it's a blueprint for the future of warfare, a future where stealth, autonomy, information dominance, and adaptability decide who controls the skies. In many ways, the Raider is less an aircraft and more a promise that the United States intends to retain the ability to reach any point on Earth at any time under any conditions. And even if radar screens never see it coming, the world will feel its presence. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person we create these videos for. Hit subscribe and check out the next video on screen. You won't regret it. And if you want to understand the aircraft the B-21 is replacing, check out our breakdowns on the B-2 Spirit and the F-22 Raptor after this video.